Hello, today I'm sharing the basic garden design that I learned over the past years from my pitfalls. I wish I know some of these before I start gardening, especially about the plant selections. So let's dive in. The first thing to know is knowing yourself. The first step is to consider your lifestyle, how much time you want to spend in your garden. This will help you decide on the level of the maintenance you need and the plant's choices. For me, I try not to choose high-maintenance plants because I don't have much time. So the plant that I have to dig up like dahlia or the plant that need the staking, Chelsea chops or pruning, I try to avoid those. These days have many breeding programs that you will eventually find the right plants that suit your lifestyle. For example, Ethel peonies have a strong stem than herbaceous and will not flop, or bulbul hydrangea also have a strong stem that you don't need the pruning. These are the criteria that I use to choose plant based on the level of the maintenance I want, unless I absolutely need a certain plant. 2. Define your garden style. I feel it should be divided into two styles, a formal versus the naturalistic look. This will help guide the materials and shape of the garden. A formal style example is an English garden or a modern garden with nice lines, boxwood hedges, and some square areas, especially the modern style that has clean edge and the material used to make a garden will look modern like a cement or concrete. Although a garden style helps with plant choice, I also feel that the garden is a canvas of art where you should feel free to paint what you want. It is okay not to stick with these rules or have a mixed material. My favorite landscape designer is J. Sifford. He inspired me of a naturalistic garden, but still have some modern structure to give the garden the interest. Number 3 is know your color palette. Choose 2 color palettes and stick with them. If you don't know or you like all the colors, you can also go to the garden nursery websites, the garden book or magazine, or even the plant catalog to see which color combination you like the most. Typically, either you choose the color that next to each other on the color wheel or an opposite each other for a contrast. As you can see here, I have a shade of pink from the light pink, darker pink, that all the way go to the burgundy purplish color at the back. I have a purple color from hummingbird mint to help bridge between the dark pink to the burgundy color. On this side of the garden, I have the opposite color between the yellow and the purple. But I also have it next to another tone of the purple that is a lavender color that will help to bring some cohesiveness. Second, knowing your site. The first thing that you need to know about your site is what is your zone. It is very important to know your USDA zone to make sure that the plant will cold hardy and will survive your winter. You can find this information through the Plant Hardiness website. This will help you know the first and last frost date also to determine the best planting time. And to make sure your plant survive your winter, it's probably better to look at the 2012 version to see if there is any differences between the newer version 2023. Several experts felt that you shouldn't rely on just the 2023 as a hardiness zone because it's based on 10-year average of the frost. Among those 10 years, there will be a years that it will dip down than the current hardiness zone. 2. Knowing your soil. It is important to know about your soil by start digging to see what kind of soil that you have to work with and how much amendment that you need to create the environment that your plant will thrive. 3. Evaluate the sun exposure. To determine how much the sun your garden gets, you may have to look the whole day. Full sun means that spot of your garden have at least 6 hours of the direct sunlight. Part sun meaning that spot have 3 to 6 hours of sun, and full shade is less than 3 hours. This will help you choose the plants to thrive in your garden's condition. However, sometimes I feel just try it and you will notice that some plants did fine even if you put in the part shade. The last topic is knowing the plants. So the first things to know is what kind of the plant it is. Do you want the perennial plants that will come back year after year, but usually the flowering season is short, like a week? Or annual that will give you a very long extended time of flowering, but they won't come back next year? Or you can also plant the annual in between the perennial while waiting for your perennials to get bigger. 2. Choose the different flower shapes. Think of your garden as a flower bouquet. You want to have a focal flowers, which are the largest flower, and most of the time they're round like a peony or dahlia, next to the filler flowers, and those usually like a branch stem or a spray of multiple small bloom, or spike flowers or dainty flowers. 3. Choose plants for multi-season interest. Look for the plants that not only bloom beautifully but also have an interesting seed taste of the fall foliage, or have some evergreen interest in the winter, give some berries, or flowering perennial that will bloom in winter. This way, your garden will have something to offer year-round. If you're interested in creating a 4-season garden, the first thing to do is to choose conifer as they are the main structure, and add the flowering shrubs or perennial and winter berries to your garden. It is difficult during the growing season to look at those because you will get distracted with those wonderful bloom of the plants at the nursery. So plant the winter interest plant or perennial first, and you can see how your winter garden will look before starting to plant spring, summer, fall plants. Always study the plants before buying them. 4. Incorporate the structure. Structure is important in the garden. This can be a tree, a pyramidal evergreen or conifer, a large shrub among the smaller perennial plants, climbing vine to give a height, or even a man-made element, like a bird bath, bench, garden light, arbor, gate, or a water feature. These elements draw the eye and create the focal points in your garden. 5. Plant in repetition. I heard some suggest planting in a group of odd number like 3 or 5 to bring the cohesiveness. I think it's really depending on the size of your plant and the size of your garden bed. One 3 to 4 feet tall and wide plant might be enough or become a focal point if you have a small garden bed, but might not be enough if you have a large scale. I also feel that instead of planting the same plant, choose plants that give similar structure, height, and color that are not too far off and have a similar foliage will make them unified. Having different plants is better than using the same plants to create biodiversity. Think of it in the way if you have 10 of the same plants and one got infested, it will affect all. So having a different plant creates biodiversity and also helps in terms of pests and extend your garden interest. 6. Choose the reblooming plants or cut and come again or long bloom time plants. The breeding program these days are so robust, it's depending on how much you search, you will find it. Trying to see if there is a reblooming option so you can get another flush instead of one flush and then gone. Also choose the plants that have a long bloom time such as hardy mum or cut and come again plants like Alstroemeria. For me, Alstroemeria give 3 flushes this year. 7. Focus on the foliage. Foliage is important because perennials typically bloom only a few weeks, leaving behind their leaves. Using the different variety of the leaf texture close together, mixing between the large broad leaf, small fine leaves, and a long narrow leaf, this will create a very interesting look, or any kind of the different foliage color like green, blue, light green, or the variegated yellow and red are also add the interest to your garden. Don't forget the bulbs interplanting the perennial to help create the seasonal changes. You have early, mid, and late blooming daffodil and tulips for the spring blooming. Planting all those different types of the bloom time will also extend the blooming season. Also in summer you have a lily, different type of the lily like OT lily, Asiatic lily, etc. Those also help to expand the lily season. Plant about 6 to 8 bulbs in between the perennial. Don't plant the whole beds for the bulbs because you ended up of having to wait for 3 months to let the foliage die down to generate a healthy bulbs for the flower to bloom next year. Lastly, I'm thinking to plant the vine like clematis to climb over the supporting shrub. The supporting shrub that I meant is the shrub that doesn't do much significant flower or foliage, but is important for other plants like Mr. Poppins, the winterberry, is a male pollinator to help pollinate Mrs. Poppin to produce the berries. I got this idea when I went to Shihuli Garden and Glass when I see the clematis is flowering among the geranium. So why not having it climb over the supporting shrub to bring some interest to that shrub? I will try this spring and will update you later. For me, living in a cold climate and working full-time in the healthcare, I need a low-maintenance garden with a plant that will give much season interest as possible. It would be a plus if they are evergreen plants, don't need a stake, Chelsea chops, and are reblooming with a different foliage texture and color and have a long bloom time. For example, don't just plant the bearded iris, but also add Dutch iris, Siberian iris in the garden. You will have a long iris bloom time as well. If they are going to be evergreen plants, I will need ones that not only show only green for 4 seasons if possible. For example, conifers or evergreen that can change the color or have an interesting spring cones or the spring growth. Of course, there will be a certain plant that I can't resist like Coco Loco Rose, so occasionally I will have a high maintenance plant, but it's not many. Here's the end of the video. I hope this is helpful for beginner gardeners. Yes, there are more details that I don't include, such as knowing your pests, soil pH, etc., but that will come with time when you have to deal with a problem. It is hard to cover every angle, and you will learn as you plant. The most important thing is to start planting. It can be intimidating, especially for me. Too much searching and reading. Eventually what you need is to plant them and learn as you go. Another important thing to remember is this is your garden, so who cares? You should care to please yourself, not others, so don't forget this. I hope you enjoyed this video, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!